behind the fast movement of products through UK warehouses is another system. One shaped by targets, hierarchy, language, and an equal access to support. Unheard Voices explore the lived experiences of migrant warehouse workers in Northamptonshire. I began with a personal connection. As a migrant myself, I wanted to understand the gap between how warehouse workplaces describe themselves and how workers experience them. Public-facing policies speak about inclusion, safety, training, well-being, and equal opportunities. But participants often describe a different reality: increasing targets, injuries, stress, overcrowded rails, and difficulties raising concerns. One participant suggested on-site English classes, unaware that free training courses were already publicly advertised by the organisation. The problem was not simply that information did not exist. The question was whether it reached workers in a clear, trusted, and usable form. Not every experience was negative. One participant received fully salary support during serious illness. So this showed a more complicated picture. Support could exist, but it was not experienced consistently. Here comes a question. Where does communication break down between policy and lived experience? To understand this, I created the hierarchy map. At the lower level sit warehouse operatives, targets, training, and everyday communication. Above them sit supervisors and management. At the top sit HR, inclusion claims, and official policy. The gaps around the structure represent the distance between the system and workers' reality. One participant explained, they ask us to fill the compliance forms to see what is really happening in the warehouse, but these forms do not help the process at all. The issue was not only missing information, it was also a lack of effective bottom-up feedback. I conducted 9 audio-recorded interviews in the participants' preferred language where possible. The interviews became relationship-building conversation rather than formal interrogations. Cara and her co-authors describe consent as an ongoing ethical process, not a single administrative step. This directly shaped my approach. I created clear, visually approachable consent form in English and Ukrainian. When interest increased among Romanian-speaking participants, I worked with native speakers to create a Romanian version. Accessibility could not be assumed, it had to be actively designed. Collaboration did not always happen as expected. I invited warehouse operatives, supervisors, and well-being team members. There were 4 managers invited to participate, only 1 agreed. Others feared that speaking openly could put their job at risk, even anonymously. Their refusal became meaningful data. If people in comparatively senior roles did not feel safe speaking, direct collaboration with the organization appeared increasingly unrealistic. I then explored unions as possible pathways for impact. I reviewed Community, the Workers' Union, United Voices of the World, and GMB, considering their campaigns, locations, websites, social media activity. These details mattered because trust is shaped before someone sends an email or makes a phone call. Research by Fitzgerald and Hardy, and by De Bono, highlights language, cultural understanding, knowledge, and trust as barriers to union engagement with migrant workers. A support structure can formally exist while still seen unreachable. I contacted Community and GMB and called the local union office. I received no response. These were not simply failures. They revealed the access itself was part of the problem. The visual direction also changed through failure. Initially, I tested spectrograms as a way to compare policy language with workers' voices. Emotional quotes appeared as brighter signals, while corporate statements sat behind like background noise. The visuals were engaging, but I realized that the project risked becoming more about metaphor than about unfairness, so I returned to the interview data. Influenced by Boker and Starr's writing on classification, I began organizing the codes into clusters and subclusters. This became the bubble map. The method helped me see imbalance in the data. Some clusters became too large, others almost disappeared. I mapped the information again and developed 4 cross-cutting themes. So now it feels balanced. The color came directly from warehouse environment. Blue, yellow, green, and orange high-vis clothing associated with different roles. This kept the visual system connected to the context rather than using color as decoration. So using the same color scheme but trying different methods such as quadrant mapping made the visuals clear. The final sound wave map brings these findings together. The map is not a traditional report or a statistics only infographic, I think. Numeric data creates structure, but the original quotes remain present. This decision was influenced by Georgia Lupis writing on data humanism, which encouraged me to treat data as connected to real lives. The most productive collaboration happened when I returned the developing map to participants during informal feedback session. Participants recognized the depths of the work, but needed guidance to understand how the layers connected. The feedback changed the outcome slightly. I added a clearer legend and realized that the map would need a simple companion guide outside of the project. Unheard Voices does not claim to solve workplace inequality. It records where communication becomes distorted, where access closes down, and where trust needs to be rebuilt. The unanswered emails, abandoned experiments, and participant feedback all change the work. A sound wave isn't evidence that a voice existed. The question is whether we choose to listen.